another episode of HCC MovieMakers Academy Movie Reviews.
Hi.
I'm Trey Dixon.
I'm Sami Ismail.
And we just saw Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yes, we did.
Avengers Age of Ultron is the new Marvel Assembly movie that's directed by Joss Whedon. It stars Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, everyone that you've seen in all the other Marvel films so far, almost. And when Tony Stark inadvertently creates an evil artificial intelligence, all of the Avengers have to put their differences aside in order to stop him from destroying the world. So, Sami, what did you think of Avengers Age of Ultron?
I liked the first one better. This one was, it dropped down a little bit in quality and how well the movie was made, everything. First of all, I would like to talk about the way they made the film. It was like, it was darker. It was much more darker than the first one. And that's not what I expected, because this is a Marvel film, and it doesn't have a gothic sort of sense. It shouldn't.
I wouldn't go
that
so
way.
far as to call this movie gothic.
Yeah,
but
I'm not saying it is gothic. I'm just saying it moves more towards that direction, and I didn't like that. It's not what I expected.
It feels different, and part of why it feels different is because all of these characters that were boring are now sort of being explored. There's a character in this movie called the Scarlet Witch, and she kind of affects all of these characters on a psychological level, and that's kind of why it feels a little darker, because these characters at some point are forced to confront their inner demons. So that's sort of why it feels that way.
Yeah. They just overall put the lighting down, I think.
I didn't think it looked darker. I felt it feels different, but I wouldn't go so far as to call it a dark movie. Marvel isn't particularly.
It's not a dark. It's darker.
Let me talk about what I liked, because there was actually more than I expected. I didn't expect to like the movie as much as I did. It's not a great movie, but what I appreciated is that they managed to take some of these characters that you don't really care much for
and made them more interesting.
Namely, Hawkeye, Thor, and Black Widow.
Yeah. Gave more screen time to Hulk.
They did.
And I like that.
I don't particularly like what they did with Black Widow, and I'll get to her later.
I agree with you.
But Hawkeye was one of the better parts of this movie. Thor was a lot funnier. You still don't care about him, but at least he was.
He was more interesting.
He was more entertaining in this movie.
It was better than the first one.
So they took some of these characters that you don't initially care that much for and sort of beefed them up. Everybody else is still on the same level. I'm not a Captain America fan. I just don't like the guy. I don't know what it is. I must be evil or something, but I just don't like the guy. And Tony Stark is Tony Stark. He's generally the best part of these movies. And
most interesting part, most charismatic and energetic.
Now, we were talking earlier, and I know you disagree with me on this, but I think that Ultron was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I disagree. He was a cliche villain.
Certainly, he was certainly
very,
a cliche.
very cliche, and I didn't feel like you said that you found some charisma in him. I didn't see any charisma. I was bored.
I think he was very charismatic.
Hey, I'm a bad guy.
And when you take an artificial intelligence and use that as your villain, there's the generic, okay, he thinks humans are a disease that needs to be purged because we had all these wars and all of the problems that are going on in this world we brought upon ourselves so naturally, and an artificial intelligence would automatically think that. And it does have that problem.
Yeah.
But I thought that James Spader played the role very nicely.
For what he was given, he did what he could, and it's fine. I thought it was okay, but not anything that's very, very interesting.
On to Black Widow. Black Widow has more to do in this movie. You get a glimpse of her past, which I appreciated, but something that I really didn't like, and is one of my biggest problems with the movie, is that she becomes a misogynistic stereotype at one point. She becomes the damsel in distress.
Yeah,
basically.
She doesn't want to.
And why would you do that with this character?
I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming in any of the previous films.
I guess they needed somebody to fill out that role.
Yeah,
and I guess since Black Widow's a woman, she has to be the one. You're gonna do that with Black Widow, really? I mean, at least they did something with her.
They did something. It was better than nothing, But it's not what we wanted. It's not what we expected. It's not what we wanted. It shouldn't be there.
I don't really know what I wanted from this. I mean, because you go to these
Same thing here. I don't know what I wanted. There's so many characters, you don't have any time for them.
with the first Avengers film, they managed.
That's another issue that we didn't talk about.
Yeah,
yet.
with the first Avengers film, they took all of these larger than life characters and managed to make it gel.
Yeah,
and that was one. That was one of
put
the
it together like a puzzle, and it worked well. I think it worked well.
That was one of the interests that the initial audience had going into the first film. Can they make all of these characters work together on the same level?
Yeah.
They pulled it off.
The first
Great,
time.
you did it.
First time.
Yeah. What else do you got?
Yeah.
We know that it works. So what are you gonna do now? And they kind of
They just threw more characters in, and
characters that you don't get time to care about. There's
Nope.
something happens to one particular character, and I won't spoil it, but it doesn't matter because you don't care. Nobody is set up appropriately so that you can really care.
We were talking about in the first one, the Avengers first one, the review of the first one, about how Spider-Man couldn't have been thrown in, and then they threw 3 more characters.
Yeah.
3 more characters.
So I was right, essentially. If they threw in any more, it wouldn't have worked as well. Now, we're kind of...
With the charisma of, the Spider-Man as a character, it might have worked, but these 3 characters, but it would have been much more interesting than what they did.
I disagree. We're kind of crapping on the movie, and it's not...
we thought it was okay, but...
It's not that... I
not
can't even
that
say I can't even believe I'm saying it's not that bad because it's not a bad movie. It's if you like the Marvel movies, if you're a big fan of the Marvel films, you're really going to enjoy it. You're going to think it's one of the best experiences you'll have all year, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't care about these characters because they're impervious and they regurgitate the same action set piece over and over again, and they say mildly witty dialogue, and then they go off and they have their next adventure, and you're never worried about them because you know they're going to be back next year doing the same stuff. So, I kind of liked it a little more than some of the other Avengers films. I liked it better than both of the Thor movies. I liked it better than both.
Any day of the week, I would choose this one over those 2.
Like I said last week, these characters work better as a team than they do individually.
Absolutely,
certainly
they do.
Except for when
when
Iron Man's all by himself, because that's great. When
that
Tony
is
Stark,
amazing.
Yeah, when
that
Tony
is
Stark
amazing.
is
That's the best.
When he's just doing his thing by himself, you can't take your eyes
Just being
away.
himself, his charisma is good.
But it's. I don't know. It's this big major blockbuster, and I have very little to say about it.
It was fun. It was funny, like the first one. I like that they kept that. What else? What else?
Yeah, exactly. Like
it was funny.
It's a fun action film with characters that, if you like the comic books, then you're attached to already because you have a vested interest.
One thing I didn't like was another thing that I didn't like. Great. It was the pacing. Like they had no pacing. It was just nonstop. It felt like nonstop action. There's
a plot point involving Thor where he goes to a well, and he goes and he has this dream, and the movie just speeds right through that. And it took me a minute to catch up. I'm like, okay, they're just gonna breeze right over that. It's gonna directly lead into the next movie, and they're just gonna breeze right over it. So I don't know. It does have some pacing issues. You're absolutely right.
The first one, it was perfectly paced.
It was tight.
It was tight. Yeah.
But it has the same issues that all of these Marvel movies have. Just characters that you don't really care about. And I fully recognize that other people won't think that. A lot of people will really like this movie.
Yeah, I don't.
Me personally, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I gave the same thing. For the first one, I gave it an 8. For this one, it went down to a little bit, so I gave it a 6.5.
Okay.
I didn't like it as much, and
I still think it is worth seeing because it is a spectacle. So
it is a spectacle. It has good action. It has funny scenes. It's enjoyable. Not movie of the year.
Yeah. All right, well, go ahead and give it a look. It's a good movie to see on the big screen.
Absolutely.
And thank you for watching HCC MovieMakers Academy movie reviews. We're brought to you by the Houston Community College Filmmaking Program and HCC TV. We love movies, and if you love movies too, then check out our website at www.hccs.edu and enroll yourself in the art of filmmaking. Check out our channel on YouTube and subscribe if you would like to receive more alerts to videos just like this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Okay, see you next time. Bye.